Hello, how is everybody? All right. We could have got a taller podium. This is kind of ridiculous. First of all, I'd like to thank the Secular Student Alliance, DFW Corps, all the groups involved here today for allowing me the opportunity to say a few words. And I realize it's just before lunch, and I'm hungry too, so I'll keep this as short as possible. As I'm speaking to you today, I want you to look at this more like a conversation than a speech, because this is about you, and I want to know how you feel about it. Rick Santorum, who recently dropped out of the presidential race, did win 11 states and received 3.2 million votes to be our president by saying that our values are based on religion and trying to make pornography illegal. I can only imagine what that would have done to the economy. Just to show you how much we're misunderstood, the other candidate we know about, Newt Gingrich, said that his fear is that by the time his grandchildren are his age, he's convinced that, quote, they will be in a secular, atheist country dominated by radical Islamists. If you can make sense of that, stop me at lunch and let me know, because the saddest thing of all, the front runner, the Republican nominee for president that we know is coming, Mitt Romney, well, as a Mormon, he believes he'll have his own planet someday. And let's not forget he wears magic underwear. It's so ridiculous you think we wouldn't need to do much and that common sense would take care of this for us. But sadly, combined, more than 10 million people across 31 states voted for these men to be in charge of our country. So many people are still terrified of what they think an atheist is. They'd rather have an ex-Mormon bishop in office and keep it illegal in 7 states for an atheist to even run. But they're only terrified because they don't know us. We've remained silent, thereby accepting the religious push in the country. And in many ways, some of the atheists who do speak out don't necessarily say the message in a way that we agree with. This is why we all need to speak up, so that we can all be heard and accept none of the discrimination in silence. But my vote doesn't count. It's about the Electoral College. Texas is a Republican state. We'll never win it too religious, right? Of the 39 presidential elections Texas has participated in, 27 were won by the Democrats. Only 12 of the 39 elections showed Texas as a Republican state. So we're here. We just have to get out and vote and let our voices be heard. It's not that Texas is lacking progressive voters, it's that the progressive voters in Texas have been silent and accepting. Together we can turn Texas progressive again. And oftentimes we meet people who started smaller free thought organizations. They meet, they talk, they recognize problems, they complain, and they have dinner about it. These types of organizations are all over the country. We just need to get them in motion, and it starts right here today with the future of Texas voters. Occasionally, we even meet gays or lesbians who refer to the LGBT community issues as their problems instead of our problems. Because it's much easier to distance yourself from the group that's being hurt than it is to deal with the pain and fight back. Other times, we meet apatheists who don't believe and don't care. So what if Christians took that approach? What if Christians didn't bother getting involved or voting or attending town halls? If Christians remained silent, there would be no God in our schools, no God in our courts, and no God on our money. But they don't. As many of you know, our Pledge of Allegiance was written in 1892 and did not include the words "under God." But Christians got involved and made that change in the 50s because they knew that remaining silent was acceptance of this being a secular nation. This country was doing just fine without religious references on our paper currency. But one Christian minister is all it took. He got involved, wrote a letter that made the change because he knew that his silence would be acceptance of this country moving on without his God. Again, in the 50s, a largely Christian Congress got involved and passed a joint resolution approved by President Eisenhower, which made "In God We Trust" our national motto. Gay marriage was not technically illegal in Texas until 2005, when Christians got involved and decided who could be discriminated against. They knew that had they not voted, their silence would have been acceptance for gays to be married. So now it's our turn to get involved. This is not just about the civil liberties of non-believers. This is about speaking up for all civil rights for those being minimized by religious politicians. Get involved. Thank you. Get involved to tell conservative leaders that you will not put up with reducing women's rights to make decisions about their health. Get involved to tell the religious politicians that you define marriage with love, not gender. And get involved to tell the conservative voters that you don't have to believe in a God in order to believe in the future of this country. Atheists are a much larger piece of the population than we're given credit for, but why? Because those of us who remain silent are invisible. We're invisible to the bullies creating laws that discriminate. We're invisible to others fighting for civil rights who speak up and look to us for support. We're not there. And most of all, our silence makes us invisible to the children who were told they are born evil, that their instincts are evil, and that they should apologize for being born. Our silence is acceptance of this mental abuse. But who wants to stand with atheists? Who wants to be known as being part of an atheist group? Some of you tell your friends and don't tell your families. Few have the courage to do so, and we see why when we look into stories like Damon Fowler's. This isn't a new issue. In the 60s, when Madeline won the Supreme Court decision removing prayer from schools, she was named the most hated woman in America. In the 80s, when George H.W. Bush said that he didn't consider atheists to be patriots nor citizens of this country, he ended up winning the presidency. And even today, our closest allies in the liberal media, they distance from us and play into this hype by defending Obama by saying he's a Christian, not a Muslim. My question to them is, why does it matter? He's not running a Christian nation. He's running a free country. And despite the overwhelming progress we've made, there's still a very strong push by the religious right to combine church and state and allow a 2,000-year-old spiritual book to govern our modern citizens. Regardless if you're financially conservative, concerned about the economy, or worried about homeland security, the bottom line is your silent vote is a vote for discrimination. With all of these religious groups voting to take away rights and enforcing laws that discriminate, and religious parents subjecting their children to horrifying delusions, creating self-hatred, it's amazing that Christianity is shined in a peaceful and loving light, while a public survey names atheists the least trusted people in the country. Perhaps we're not the least trusted, just the most silent. You see, it's human nature to distrust that which has no face. Anything that is mysterious or cloaked could be dangerous. And it is also human nature to distrust that which is loud and obnoxious and angry. This is why, to make a difference, it's good to be peacefully involved. Get to the polls in November and prevent the hostile takeover of the religious voters. Write your congressman when you have an issue. Engage in civil debates, and don't be afraid to challenge religious doctrine. Attend the town halls and ask the tough political questions about your rights, your health care, and yes, your student loans. Don't just attend these rallies and conventions, but leave here with action items and an inspiration to make a difference. And through all of this, never let yourself be portrayed in a negative light. Don't put the moral target on your back by being just as scary and nasty as the world pretends we are. And most importantly, don't hide from the word atheist. We've been misrepresented for too long. We've been cast in the shadows of negativity for too long, and we've put up with it for too long. Any anger you have should motivate your involvement and your vote, but not your responses. See, some atheists play right into that negative role by letting their anger control their reactions to Christians. And I understand. But equal liberties aren't won in cafeteria fights or by insulting your families at the dinner table. Say your piece and peacefully have your say, but at the end of the day, go vote to make a real difference. I know it's hard not to become angry sometimes with everything we've seen. But it's time to change the face of what atheism means to the general public and let them know that we're here, we care, we are civil, we will vote, and we will get involved. Thank you.